Hello everybody, welcome to Elsewhere. High School, Chapter 1. This is a horror novel, visual novel horror. I wanted to find something on Steam, and I ended up finding this. And that's kind of a cool thing to find, or good thing, because I want something to come off of Who is Mike, and I've tried to record a decent amount of games, and I don't know why. I tried this one like 2-3 times now, and I actually really want to play it because I've kind of hyped myself up to play it every time I've tried to record this. So finally, like, whew, best enjoyed with headphones. I have those. Oh man. Oh, the sound design. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I like that. I like that. I like that. It wasn't very usual for Derrick to be walking in mudded shoulder of a barren country road. I need to fix my chair because no one could probably see my face. Hi guys, how's it going? You can see my face now. Barren country road. Well, he lived in a modestly sized city now. Derrick grew up in a small town surrounded by by roads just like this one. He would often walk them in the morning to catch his bus to the school. Okay, so it's been a while since I actually did something reading like. That seemed like ages ago, though. Now that he's resided in a city, he usually chose to walk to school. Except, of course, for the days when the cold was overbearing and the heat was too exhausting. Okay, so this is a horror. This is a visual novel, so I don't think it'll get too much into the disturbed very much, because that's like my choice. I barely talk to anybody, and I get to run around. So this one's different. And yet he felt no comfort in this aged familiarity. Oh, so this is Derrick. Where's the stop? He lifted his head. His neck was tense. He was told there would be a sign. A blue sign or something, right? His frame was not much substance, but still, his feet pressed against the soft and... Okay, what happened to my... God, I don't know what happens to my sound. Still pressed against the softened ground and the built mountains of displaced mud against the edges of his shoes. As he lifted them, the bolus mounds would rise, as if they wanted to follow him. The earth kept them close, though these ripples of muck, and instead set a forest of stringy soldiers to cling to the soles of his sneakers. There's a thick layer of them by now. Maybe I missed it. He spoke aloud to himself. He did this often. He shelved his uncertainty and kept forward. His body ached. Derrick took a moment to check behind him. He was somewhat worried that the sound of rain would drown out any cars. There hadn't been one yet, but he kept to the graveled side, or graveled edges anyways. There's no such thing as too careful. I guess I'll go a bit more. This is blank. His statement was more meditative and cry than pitiful complaint. Is there a sound option? Please tell me that I screw up anything. Okay, then I'll do something. Wait, what? Is there a save option? What? Is that save in cursive? Save what? I don't know what that means. Does that mean save the game? It does. Pity was something that Derrick didn't have for himself, or his situation. Confusion, anger, frustration, even the pitch of denial, yes, but Derrick did not feel sorry for himself. As he took a few sunken steps, his mind was understandably drawn back to the conversation that had led him there, Oh, that scared me. Why you do that? I didn't... I was complaining about sound and that happened. Really? Why? It was somewhat ordinary for him to get a call to the principal's office. He remembered he was sitting in his grade 12 anthropology class, a class that he had taken to gain a free credit from, but was rather surprised to find a sort of interest in it. And the PA system came to life with a familiar muffled alert. Yes? I said that wrong. I said that. I didn't mean to do that. Crap. His teacher cried out. She wasn't the type to become easily annoyed, but found herself derailed from her train of thought by the brash interruption. Can we see Derrick Summersfield at the office, please? The voice was hard to understand, but his teacher eyed him quickly. Yep, sure thing. She wasted no time giving Derrick a physical gesture of excuse and jumping immediately back into her lesson. Derrick didn't remember being nervous. One of his friends had talked him into joining their small student council, and while it was infrequent, he would sometimes be called to the office to confirm various details of upcoming events. But this time, there was much more urgent topic of conversation. Stop it! Why? As the umpteenth telephone pole has disrobed itself from the darkness in front of Derrick, he was quickly led away from his daydream. It's too far away to make out the details, but he knew that he was near the landmark. Just keep walking until you find the blue sign. Find a blue sign. You can see in the distance, fastened rather high above the ground on a wooden pole, a blue sign. He paced it in quick. Stop it with Do you know why I asked you to see you today? His principal asked with a voice laden with a distant disappointment. The principal liked Derrick. He would never be in trouble and was okay. And it was expected that students that were a part of the elected council were given somewhat of special treatment. It was then that Derrick remembered feeling the first ting of nervousness. It was the sound of the principal's voice. With a weighted sigh, the principal opened an envelope on his desk and took handfuls of paper. What? On them, scribbled notes that Derrick couldn't quite make out, though deep wrinkles and folds. Soon, after being closed together himself, the principal's eyes made their way to Derrick. They sat on him and waited. Then raised a finger, carried it limply, and waved around the notes. Do these, for any reason, look familiar to you? Derrick shuffled in his seat. I can't read them. Derrick remembered saying the words through a taut throat. Have a look. The principal opened his hand and lightly pushed the paper towards him. With more than a little apprehension, Derrick reached for them and began to read. Okay, what? Skankiest girl on the scroll. A what? Tell anyone, I'll kill you. Well, that's probably a wow, what? ... He didn't read any more of the notes from the start to finish. They were vile in their language, threatening and brute. They made Derrick sick to his stomach. He pushed the papers back towards the principal. For the first time in years, he remembered the feeling of his eyes begin to well up. Okay, I'm used to that. I'm kind of getting used to that, but God, that is loud. I don't know if I have my volume all the way to max. No, I don't. It's at 18. Derrick stopped. I guess the swarm of browns and grays, the deep blue that covered the sign, reclaimed his attention. Just keep walking until you find a blue sign. Once you find it, wait. It'll come soon enough. He stood beneath the sign, his hands gripping the straps of his backpack. It was all he carried. I guess this is it. He sighed. Not only was it raining, but it was sticky and warm, and recalling the events that brought him there did little to calm his growing palpitation. His brows were drowned in heavy and gathered sweat. He didn't seem to mind. There was nothing left to do than wait, so Derrick leaned his body against the telephone pole and did just that. Okay. Do you know what these are? Derrick remained silent for a moment, took a deep breath, and then exhaled with purpose, as if he were able to reply, but he couldn't. Derrick? The principal's voice remained assertive, but it was softened by a hint of worry. Derrick's body felt like stone. His mind was lifted elsewhere. He couldn't think or move. In this moment of confusion and discomfort, he felt as if he were surrounded. He surrendered his will. It was taken from him and handed over to someone else. His voice returned and broke, his head hung low. Yes? That was all he said. Still standing against the rotted pole, he could not explain why he had said it. Yes? This Bill waited for Derrick to continue, but he didn't. Derrick, these notes were handed to me by a student named what? Do you know her? After taking a moment, Derrick nodded. Yes, well, she handed me these notes in private, in secret, after trying to find a way to let someone know. She was terrified. Derrick absolutely distraught. She was crying, sobbing, asking for help. He took a break and write in his excluded voice, then continued. Do you know anything about these notes? Derrick's body was not his own. He felt the force to nod his head on his behalf. He gathered himself. Derrick, what do you know about these notes? Something lifted his tongue. Nothing but breath in his lungs. Something formed the words. I wrote them. What? No sound effect this time. You feel his shoulders panicked between the weight of his body and the pole. It added to the ache. With a foggy mind and anchored heart, Derrick waited. His face contorted an instinctual response to the memory. Priscilla. Is that Spanish? Priscilla. Percival. Persicelis. Her name popped from his mouth and cracked like hot grease. Persicelis. Oh man. The only reason I got into this game was because it said that the school was actually for people who got really big trouble, gave threats, etc. So she was hardly even relevant to Derrick throughout the high school life. He didn't dislike her, he just didn't know her. They had shared a class the year before, when they were both juniors, but they sat on the opposite sides of the room and had no friends in common. Their school was large enough for two students to never find themselves in the same place at the same time with the same people. She seemed like a nice girl, Persicelis Aberdeen. Derrick remembered her laughing. Derrick remembered hearing her laugh from time to time and thinking about how wonderful and infectious it was. She was an otherwise quiet girl, so it was refreshing to hear such a genuine expression. She engaged in classroom discussion and was rather intelligent. Her remarks were probably better than Derrick's, although he didn't even really push himself. This was certainly nothing wrong with her. And even if there was, Derrick wouldn't have done something like that. Of course not. There were people who he disliked in his school. They were rude, disagreeable, and just unlike Derrick in too many ways. But he never mistreated them. He didn't want to spend that extra mental energy cooking up ways to hurt someone. It seemed super foolish. Foolish? It's gonna feel foolish. There's still a mystery, even to himself then, why he had done this to Priscilla. Someone please tell me how you pronounce it. Priscilla. Why have I done this? Why have I done this to Priscilla? Blah. I was doing so good. But when he did carve out enough courage to jump back into the carven of his memory, he always reemerged with nothing but a mind soaked in sullen fog. Everything was hazy. Hi again. Everything had been hazy. After his confession, he remembered nothing until the principal's door swung open and he heard footsteps behind him. How long have I been sitting here? A body sat down next to him. He barely raised his head, just dragged his eyes to the right to see who it was. Mom? It hovered somewhere between a question and a statement. She looked at him with something that Derrick would have sworn was indifference, then surrendered her gaze to the principal. Derrick assumed he had begun explaining the situation, but his senses shut down. His body was hardened by guilt and shame. Time passed haphazardly. A few minutes, an hour, who knew? It was only when his mother laid a limp hand on his forearm that he tuned back in. While he was sure that the gesture was meant to be of one comfort, he felt something but stinging apathy. Apathy is what it said. Her hand sat there, weightless, and from it flowed no measurably compassion. She held a pamphlet in her other hand. The principal spoke up with a low, heavy voice. I would recommend this as your next course of action in terms of other options. There are few you could choose. There are a few you could, of course, try. What is it? The two adults almost jumped at the sound of Derrick's voice. His mother had almost forgotten that he was there. The principal spoke first. I'm sorry? That brochure, I'm retarded, sorry. Or whatever. What are you guys talking about? The principal let out a deep sigh. Is an alternative schooling option for students who have been what? The principal and his mother exchanged a worried, frustrated glance. This time, his mother spoke first, but for some reason she whispered, Have you even been listening? She had always feared being intrusive, even in the situations like this, but now her sharp breath hit Derrick's ear with a shrill impatience. The principal fidgeted with his pen, then danced his gaze around both Derrick and his mother. Derrick, you've been expelled. His numbness somehow deepened to less of feeling, less of knowing, less of nothing. Why would you just expel someone? I mean, maybe it'll tell us in later chapters, but why would you just expel someone for something they feel guilty about? And has it been his only offense? That's the main question I have. If it's been his only offense, then why expel him, especially when he feels guilty about it? You know, you gotta say sorry to the person. Oh well, that's just the universe that I don't live in. Silence hung like ornaments on the walls. Derrick exhaled slowly. What I've given your mother is information on Elsewhere High. It's a new program, a new facility, a school for exceptional children. Is a slogan. It's meant to accommodate families in a situation like yours. They offer transportation, simple accommodation, classes that engage the students in. His voice began to fade away. Derrick knew what his mother had decided, even though she had yet to open the pamphlet, even though she had yet to speak. How far have I gotten into this first chapter? 20 minutes already? Wow. It's nearly scared him half to death. Perhaps he had fallen asleep. But somewhere in the distance of his mind, Derrick hadn't seen or heard the bus approaching. Its doors swung open with a shrill creaking of metal. The motor rumbled conspicuously, as if it were puttering so loudly to hurry him up. Get on. Derrick looked to his left, back down the country road, back down the track of mudded footprints he left that. By now he had turned into a path of miniature pools. Fresh, new raindrops hit their surface and sent hundreds of ripples to wave him goodbye. He didn't wave back. What? 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 Oh, we're on the bus now. I'm gonna save the game. Oh man, I love the sounds. I love the sounds. I'm telling you, I love it. Oh man. Anyways, I'm gonna leave this episode off here. Leave it at 21 minutes. Kind of a good time to stop it. I feel if it's not really story related and I can kind of control it, I kind of feel like I could shorten it down for you guys so I don't have way too long videos, but I have long enough videos. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys like the video, go ahead and leave a like down below. Comment anything down below as well. Subscribe to see more of my content as it goes up. Hit the bell while you're at it if you want to see or want to have notifications pop up when my stuff uploads. Until then, you can check out my other content that I've made on this channel. Some interesting stuff. I've been starting to put down custom thumbnails, so if there's an interest, you probably might want to see it. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode, whatever I make. That's gonna be part 2 after this. I'm definitely gonna continue this. Oh boy, this is interesting.